and the show is all yours. So let's start up by introducing first, right? Is that okay if you can help us to introduce to our audience who you are and briefly discuss about what you've been doing? Can you do that for us, please?
Happy to do that. So my name is Himanshu Saxena. I'm the founder and CEO of Centro Strategic Mindset. My mission in life is to groom strategic minds who can deliver bold business impact.
Hmm.
Currently, I like to be known as a thinker, writer, speaker, and coach. And I consider myself a student of life and teacher of experience. I've been fortunate to have 6 careers in life, starting from being a geologist, then serving in the military. I was a colonel when I last retired. United Nations. I served in Africa in a UN mission. Then I founded my first organization, Maverick Consulting, inspired by the name of Tom Cruise in the movie Top Gun, because I thought I'm a maverick and leading change. Then I worked in one of the largest technology company as a chief strategy officer. And thereafter I met somebody, which is Marshall Goldsmith, and that's how my journey began as a coach. And I often say 2 things can change the course of a life: the books that you read and the people that you meet. So I read a couple of books and I met 5 people who changed my life. So that is in brief about me. I have my wife who is a partner in the firm and son who is pursuing music production in Berlin, and I have a wonderful daughter who's in class 12. So that's me and about my family.
Wow. Thank you for sharing your story of life in just about 1 minute. And then, so we're going to bring you all the way back to different point in time in your life and let's examine the journey all together. All right. So, when I was young, I hope that I would, I wanted to become an astronaut. I did not become one. Vivian wanted to become, a singer when she got older. She as well did not become one. So we really want to know, Himanshu, when you were young, what did you want to become when you grow up, though?
Okay. If I go back to my university days, I was hugely inspired by one professor who would teach in an amazing storytelling way. And at that point of time, I thought I would like to be a teacher. And I would like to be a good teacher. But it has taken me 35 years to now become a teacher, but in a big way, where I work with executives. But at that point of time, being a great teacher was really, really inspiring for me. And when I translate that journey into now and fast forward, I think 3 words come to my mind. Teach, transfer, and transform.
Teach, transfer, and transform.
Transform. So I didn't surrender my dream, but whatever came my way, I embraced it and used it as a learning opportunity. But now I'm doing what I want to do. And if I have the opportunity to share something with you, whatever be your first dream, if you are still passionate, don't surrender. There will be a time, there will be an opportunity, and you will be able to do that in a big way.
So how the journey wanting to be a teacher and becoming a geologist, to get up the career, can you share with us?
Yeah. So this teacher was a geology teacher. So I was learning geology. And geology is the science of earth, where there's a lot of exploration, excavation is there. So the teacher's role was to put us on a path of excavation and exploration. And as a metaphor, I believe every teacher's job is to put someone on the path of discovery, creative process, and exploration. So the 2 things actually match very well.
And from there, how can it ended up that you join the military force and expand your leadership? Like experience there though.
Yeah. Again, I'll go back to my saying, 2 things can change the course of life: the books that you read and the people that you meet. So one fine day, I was returning to New Delhi, And on the platform, when I got down, I saw two young officers dressed in olive green, and they happened to be from my university.
Oh.
So I was fascinated by them. I walked up to them and had a brief conversation. Guys, how come you were supposed to be engineers? What got you here? And they shared their story very passionately. So it planted a trigger in my mind. Oh, if they can be there, I can also be there. But that is just part of the chance encounter. What goes back as a memory, that as a child, I loved watching war movies. I was fascinated by the glamour of uniform. And most importantly, military gives you the opportunity to lead in real field with real troops and real people, and that's where the leadership gets tested. Somewhere that spark was there, and meeting these guys was just an inspiration which triggered that.
So you got fascinated about living in the army and see the two gentlemen that in the uniform, and
Yes.
that's the whole journey starting for you to apply and become an officer yourself.
Exactly, you got it absolutely right.
But then you've been in the army force for a long time, and by the time you retire, become a colonel by the end of that, right? Is that am I correct about that?
Yes,
Ah.
I served for 21 years in all terrains, in high altitude, desert, jungle warfare, and plain, and all these things. I've been there. I've been instructed in jungle warfare and counterterrorism warfare. This is a long period, and then once I became colonel, I started getting some weak signals of creative dissatisfaction that there is another chapter in my life, and I need to discover that out.
And why, when you get out of the army and then you join in a software company and become a chief strategy for that company, how could that transition happen though?
Yeah. So I think when I was in the military, I went to a war college, and there was a keynote speaker who did not have his legs. He had lost his legs. So this guy was a Navy SEAL guy who had lost his legs in Iraq war. But after becoming incapacitated, he joined Harvard Business School to do his MBA, and he went on to become Bain consulting partner. So his journey really inspired me, and I thought if he can make this transition, I can also do that. So this is the second set of person I met, and that made me read and prepare for the next career. In next 5-6 years, I probably read 300 HBR articles, McKinsey reports, BCG reports, AT Kearney reports. So I prepared a lot for the next transition. I'm a voracious reader, and I believe those who are not reading are not leading. So I thought, let me prepare for the next transition. So at each juncture in life, I kept meeting someone who inspired me for the next journey.
And because this is strange to me, I have a lot of friends who are also in the military, and then preparing from a military life into a normal life also sometimes pose a lot of challenges for them. So if you prepare for the transition, and then can you share with us how that preparation took place from the beginning though?
Very good. In life, when you have to make a transition, you must have a vision. And if you don't have a vision, then it's like helter skelter. Then you don't know which way you are going. So I advocate two things. One, you got to have a moonshot vision, which is way up 5-10 years from now. And then you got to have ironclad rituals to prepare for that transition. So when I met this guy, it gave me a trigger. Marshall Book has a book called Trigger. So meeting this guy led me to get a trigger. But then what you do with trigger is a hardcore preparation, planning, anticipation, reskilling yourself. Many people don't do that. So when you don't do that, you land up in an ordinary transition, not an extraordinary transition. So what I would recommend is create a moonshot vision and have ironclad rituals. And my definition of vision is a 3 words: destination, direction, and impact. So what is the destination you want to go next? In which direction you want to go? And what is the impact you want to create after reaching there? And this is a repeatable process, which I did multiple times, from military to UN to consulting to corporations, and then being a coach.
And then after the 35 years of wanting to become a teacher, right? And then now you become a teacher who teach leaders and teach organization to transform and make an impact, right? And that is not an easy job to do. It requires a lot of skills, requires a lot of expertise, requires a lot of works that you do that meaningful, so that the people can hire you for doing that, all of that. So
Yeah.
why did you choose a career like that and have the influence, the way that you are doing?
Yeah. So I think couple of factors. One is the creative dissatisfaction or potential, let's call it, to make the difference where it matters most. For example, if I'm able to transform one CEO, his impact will pass it on to the organization. So the entire organization will have a new shift of curve. When they can change the way they want to work, they will transfer that experience to customers. So it's a very wonderful cycle. So what is exciting for me is to work with really, really successful people who are very successful, but yet they are lonely at top and they need help. They need a trusted advisory. And this is where the skills come. So a couple of skills which I often lean on. One is listening without judgment, because judgment can come in a big way. And when you end up judging someone, the other guy will not open in front of you. Second, your ability to sense the dynamics, what's happening with the person's life or in the surroundings. So listening, sensing, and observing. Second is the art of asking questions. Because our job is not to prescribe a person, but to ask right set of questions so that he can think in a variety of ways. So listening, asking questions, then bringing some perspectives. For example, once I was working with a CEO or a COO who wanted to or who was due to become a CEO. And one of the areas that he needed help is he thought that he is a straightforward guy and he can be brutal and candid. But that had a cost to pay. And for him to make him realize, for me to make him realize that straight does not mean you can speak anywhere, anytime, whatever you feel like. One of the analogies I gave from Indian history, there's a very famous philosopher, Chanakya, who said, straight trees are cut first. Straight trees are cut first. Do you want to be cut first? And then he realized that straight also means being sensitive, being politically correct, being authentic. So that's how you can shift the perspective in successful people.
Himanshu, it's easy to talk to people in our pool, right? So if we're in the same background, we can easily talk to the people. And now we go into, your job is to talk to people in the C office. And those people are very busy. They're very smart. They also, have a lot of pressure in their shoulders. So it's scary to talk to COC, as COO people, a lot of time for a lot of people. So where did you find the strength and confidence to come into the room and and have the conversation with them to start with?
Yeah. So one of the questions that comes to mind, why should you be scared? Or when you are likely to be scared and you are not sure of your craft. So there is no shortcut to success. You got to really hone your skills and sharpen your saw and have your craft very well. And that comes from reading, experimenting in life, writing, working with lots of people. See, today my success is also a function of all the 600 people who I coached. Because they are the ones who ask the right set of questions. So I have a threefold suggestion. Number one is to really ask why you want to be a coach. Just because it gives you money or it gives you some credibility? No. You got to deep down dig. There has to be a strong why. I often say this, let your how not trump your why. If your why is clear, how will appear. So a strong belief that why I want to be coach. So getting clarity on why is very important. Then really skill yourself in a big way and realizing what my role is. So my role is to not teach artificial intelligence or machine learning or anything which is functional expertise. My expertise are in being empathetic to the client, understand where is he coming from, ask a question which can make him think differently, offer some frameworks and models which can actually fast track his journey from point A to point B. And if you are that good, or if you're professionally sound, then there's nothing to worry. Because the moment you show signs of anxiety, it will show in our body language. And the guy will not engage with you. Because a successful CEO is looking for someone so that he can look up to, yet he's not he's not looking for someone who changes neural pathway. Am I making sense to you?
I understand. So have a clarity on our why and make sure that we have a why strong enough for us to do what we are doing. And then fine tune our expertise so that we can come into the table and speak the language that the people listen to, right?
Half the battle is won if you are a good listener and you are mindful. Listen, in front of successful people, if you start thinking of what is the next sentence I'm going to use or what's the next question, you lost the plot. You got to be completely there like a monk and be there in the moment to understand what's the conversation which is going on. With that quiet in your mind, you will have the answer to respond in a very eloquent and strategic manner.
And how can we train our mind to be mindful, listening to the conversation, and at the same time preparing for what we can ask for the next step, though? That, to me, is very hard to master.
Yeah. So let me give an example or a situation. I prepare hard. There's no shortcut to preparation. They say your spontaneity on the stage is a function of deep preparation behind the stage. So you got to prepare hard, thinking of all the possibilities and scenario. But just before, when you are entering the meeting room or the conversation, you have to let go that preparation. You don't let that preparation come in your way, because that is going to create mind chatter. You said, okay, I've done my preparation, nothing to worry. Let me be in this moment now. And that comes from discipline. Because when you've done your preparation, like right now, we are having this conversation without preparation. So what I'm doing is, I'm really trying to do my best to understand your question. And then whatever intuition or intuitively comes to my mind, that's what I'm responding. And that is how it works with the C-suite and CXO conversation. Prepare well, visualize all the contingencies, keep your opening narrative or something or some good questions, but as you enter, you let go everything. You just enjoy being in the company of that person. And when you do that, You will have the right question, the right thought at the right moment. Trust me, the process works.
I think the letting go of what we know seems to be very very challenging because we always hold on to something that we know as a baseline for us to think and
Yeah.
process and let it go. I heard you saying that. I heard some of our speakers also sharing that, and then we've been practicing it. But it's not easy. Is there any tips that you, Himanshu, can teach us and the audience so that we can let go of what we think we know and get ready for, to come into the room and really be present and enjoy the conversations, though?
Yeah. So maybe I'll talk about this in three ways. First is to understand the philosophy of life. And when I say philosophy of life, there are three things matter. First, accept what you can't and change what you can. In every situation, you have to think, oh, what is that I can change here, which I can't change? You just accept gracefully. That's the first rule of life. The second rule is, this too shall pass. That means understanding the impermanence of life. Nothing is permanent. So when you know this, what are you trying to hold on? So this is at the philosophy level. This too shall pass. Accept what you can't, change what you can. Third is to realize in our quest for future or the regret for the past, we are really screwing the present. Yes or no? So just by thinking of the next step, I'm not able to do because right now I'm sitting in front of you. So might as well be here completely. Be in the moment. Now, how do you be in the moment? If you're conscious of your breath, I think you can be in the moment. So time and again, just close your eyes and see, am I breathing? Am I conscious of my breathing? So the moment you breathe and you feel or you hear the sound of the breathing right here, it gets you in that moment. This is how you cultivate the mindfulness. So the ability to let go is rooted in philosophy, which means we don't have any control on anything. We can influence, but the law of nature says things are not in our control. Secret for happiness is high tolerance for ambiguity.
High tolerance for ambiguity, yeah.
Okay. Those who are not able to cultivate tolerance for ambiguity, they are very jittery. They are always worrying, oh, next moment what I need to do, this moment what I need to do. As a result, they are completely destroying the present. So if you understand the phenomena of life at deeper level, then you can build practices, disciplinary practices to be in the moment and let go of things.
One of the things that your company is teaching leaders and an organization is to reimagining the future, right? And I always like the big thinkers who try to from here and then draw what the future is supposed to be and where we can work so that head into that direction. And what's the future of work seems to be to you, Himanshu?
I love this question. I always say future is now, another now, and a series of now. Because what you want to do now, that will shape the future. Future also unfolds through some weak signals, some mega trends, micro trends, and wild cards. So, for example, they say by 2030, data will be sunshine, which means internet would be available free. Or they say that electricity will cost nothing. Now, why it is being predicted that way? So every year the cost of the battery is getting half. And every year the power of the battery is changing 4 times. So it's going to be inversion. So what is this? It's a weak trend. It's a weak signal for future. So you can anticipate future by spotting trends, micro mega trends, weak signals, and make sense of the future. But when it comes to creating future, visualization helps a lot. So you visualize your future, or I see a future where I'm going to be this, this, and this. It all starts from, we have certain exercises that we use. One is an exercise called I see a future narrative. So if you want to create a future, you have to write about that future. So in creation of future, 3 things are important: intent, content, and process. So what is the intent for future? Like 10 years ago, I visualized I'm going to be a leading global coach in leadership, strategy, and culture. What's the content? How am I going to get there? How will I build my personal brand? How will I be a thought leader? How will I write, publish, speak? All that were part of the content. Then there are processes, because your vision is 5 years, but your day is changing every day. So how does your daily activities link with vision? That's where the processes come into being. So intent, content, and process is the framework for creating future, and future is now. Like right now I'm sitting with you guys. We have no idea what possibilities this equation can unfold for future. So in some ways we are creating a future by spending time and having a meaningful conversation now.
Wonderful.
Make sense?
Makes sense a lot.
So I have questions. It's a bit big because you're mentioning about life is something that not too permanent. So in your thinking, what would be the meaning of life?
So life is about 3 things for me. The ability to think clearly, choose precisely, and act decisively. So in throughout our life, if we have the ability to think clearly, we can make right choices. If we make right choices, we can make right decisions and enjoy the benefits. That's one part of the life. The other part, if I just decode the 4 words, life is a stream of experiences. Each experience, each event is a unit of life. So richer your experiences, richer is your life. And the third thing is, the L in life for me stands for learning. I stand for innovation. F stands for failures. You can't have a life without failures. And E stands for experiences. So learning, innovation, failure, and experience. And that's how it keeps on going. Does it make sense to you?
Yep.
Vivian?
Yep. And then a lot of people still really hesitate to accepting failures, trying to stay away from failure. There's a lot of articles about that. There's a lot of trainings and then re-emphasizing about accepting failures as a part of life. But I've been seeing so many people trying to still be perfect in what they do and make sure that they not fail along the way, right? So failure seems to be a very, very big notion to them. How can we help them to realize failure is a part of life and embrace it so that we can learn, though?
I think we need to understand the definition of failure. Whatever operational definition we choose for any word, that will decide our thinking. So for me, failure is just a learning moment. When I operate with that paradigm, I don't have any embarrassment about failure. I'm very candid to share with you. To get my first job, I failed 23 times. I've been rejected in 23 job offers before I could get my first job. Now, How do I quote that? Vivian Ha, if I had accepted any one of those 23 jobs, I would not have been sitting here. So they were not the right jobs for me. So it's the universe way of taking you to your rightful place where you can create the greatest impact. So failure is just a learning moment. And if someone has not failed early and cheaply in a small way, he's poised for a big failure in future. Trust me.
Wow.
You know, in the military and Marines and Navy SEAL, when we select people for very significant challenging operations, we look at person's profile. And if someone has never failed, we don't take him. Because we don't know how he's going to respond when the situations go out of the way.
Yep. I see.
So failures are an essential part of our growth for high-stake missions in life.
With that being said, also requires a lot of business leaders, right, to open and create the environment that's safe for people to experience failures. Because, we've been having friends, business leaders that we know that, in front of the organization, tell people that it's okay to fail. But if somebody failed, then they got punished for that, and that created an environment that unrest for the people and a lot of mistrust in there, right? So if we need people to accept failure, also coming from the people at the very top of the organization to really create that environment. In your coaching experience, how can we coach leaders so that they can, stay in line with, with that principle, though?
Yeah, I often say leadership is a privilege, choice, and responsibility. Not everybody gets to be a leader, so it's a privilege. It's a choice because you are making a choice to be leader. Then it is a responsibility. What kind of responsibility? Responsibility to create an empowering world, psychologically safe world where innovation can happen, experiments can happen. So leaders have a responsibility to create an environment which is psychologically safe. And if they are not doing it, they are playing it safe, their organization may run well when the times are good. But when the tide turns ugly, they will be the first ones to fail. Because they never prepared the mindset to handle failures. And in COVID time, it happened with many organizations.
Yep.
On the contrary, and on the other hand, what is my message to the people who are working with a leader who is not psychologically safe? Even if you get punished once for one failure, don't make it a lifelong paradigm. One failure does not decide or should not change your neural pathway. Another way I'm saying, let your beliefs not be born out of narrow experiences.
Wow. And then you mentioned the word very powerful there is belief. Okay. And as Vivian, I'll share the story about the belief again. Okay. Vivian and I met a lot of people that somehow their role is very important and their role impact a lot of people within their organizations. But then a few of them don't have the belief in what they do that can create meaningful things in the lives of the people that they are responsible for and the work that they're supposed to be doing. And that to us is sad because they're supposed to learning from some mistakes from the past. It's to us is a learning experience to strengthen the belief, and they can alter the way that they do, but leading to the belief. But because of the mistakes, the well performing result in the past, that entered that belief that they say they cannot do that, the people are not ready to it, and so they set the ways of doing totally not in favor for the people because of the past poor performance. So how can we help them to eradicate that thought and then create the space for belief to come in again and growing within the heart, the mind, so that they can, give people the benefit, the doubts, and continue believe in them though.
Yeah. I use an exercise called decoding your programming. So all of us, when we have grown up, we all have received some kind of programming through our parents, teachers, cousin. They said some words which became part of our program. How do we know whether that program is effective or not? Like in computer, you have a hardware and you have a software. The program is like a software. And when the software is old, your computer slows down. So we must take out time to decode our programming. And Socrates said that unexamined life is not worth living. So we can actually examine how effective is my past programming and which parts need to get changed. To give you an example, while working with an executive, one person, I found him using one sentence very frequently. And the sentence was, I'm a very emotional person, or I'm a very introverted person. So I said, who in life gave you the certificate that you are an introvert? Was there any college or Ivy League who gave you, oh, you are an introvert? He said, no. I said, how do you know you are an introvert? And is being introvert a bad thing? No. The 50% of the world is introverted word. And they've been greatest scientists, poet, engineers, blah, blah, blah. So I made him question his own belief, where he said, oh, I'm an introvert. Second, I told him, using all the time one narrative that I'm an emotional person, how is that helped you? And the person said, oh, I never looked at it this way. So when we keep telling a narrative to us, and if the narrative is not good, it can limit us. So our idea is to give people an opportunity to do an exercise like decode your programming, and then make them realize which part of the programming is bad for them and ineffective for them. And somewhere people should realize that past is a place of reference, not residence. You don't reside in past. You can just refer the past and move on in future.
Wow.
So as a coach or as a manager, we must listen to our team or client well and see which part of the language they are using very frequently, which is not working well, and play it back to them so that they realize, oh my God, I never thought this way. Creating an opportunity for people to examine their own life is the way of decoding beliefs.
Got it. So it seems like there's a lot of people in our lives need to really decoding their belief and reprogramming it again, though. So
I know.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, please. Sorry.
Every 3 years, Windows come with a new version: Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10, Windows 11. So why should we run with the old Windows system?
And then the update actually come in every month now for us to patch the errors and the system glitch, right? That also leading allow me to, for the first time in very long time, that I need to play a devil advocate role for once. And this is about the earlier we talked about the power of now that's shaping our future, right? And this leads me to a question that I've been having for a very long time: why we got into this great resignation? Because a lot of when I first started my career, everywhere that I join, we always hear that people as a great asset for the organizations, and then we measure people, we love our people and things like that. But then when COVID hit, the bad reality actually coming in and show that actually people don't really see that they've been valued. They don't really see that our organization and the leaders actually really live up to what they are committed to their people. All right. And So now, if we give the leaders a chance to reprogramming their, like their program, right? How do we make sure that which program and or which coding they're gonna select and code so that the future is not gonna make the same mistakes again, Himanshu?
Hmm. So your question is about what programming we give it to the leaders,
Yeah.
or what programming they discover so that they are more relevant to the team and for the organizational success in future.
Yep.
I think the leaders need to be made aware of their primary responsibilities. And I often ask this question, what is the primary role of leaders? And a different kind of answers come. Then I play back, the primary role of leaders is twofold. Number one, leaders open the doors for future. So whatever they do, they must open the doors for future through a new offering, through a new business market, through a new solution, through a new business creation, creating more opportunity. And second, the role of leaders is to create more leaders. And Simon Sinek has a wonderful video on this. He says, you are not in charge, but you are in charge of your people. So many of us take, oh, I'm the in charge, I'm the boss, I'm the designated guy, I'm the biggest powerful guy. No. Leadership is a privilege, choice, and responsibility. So I'm in charge of the people at my disposal. So what should I do? They spend almost 10 to 12 hours with me. So I must play a role of a mentor, a talent multiplier, someone who can bridge the gap between people and possibilities, and who can give them a confidence, skills, attitude, mindset to flourish in a big way. And my team, when the team fires on sixth cylinder, the productivity is not an issue. So I think these simple things are not taught to leaders. So what happens? When we do well, we get promoted. We get promoted. But we never get a chance to learn the real leadership skills. So as a result, some of us do become soul-sucking managers. And when we have soul-sucking managers, great resignation is a natural outcome. Till date, this saying is true, that people don't leave organization, they leave bosses. So I think bosses and managers have a significant role to play in the lives of the team that they have. Nobody will remember us how much money we made quarter on quarter, though it is needed. But people will remember who all we helped them grow in a big way.
Yeah.
And that is the primary programming that should go into the leader's mind.
So having their people to go and become bigger ones themselves, right? And
like many lamps that you can lit up to spread the light. That's the metaphor I like to lean on.
Himanshu, earlier you mentioned that the quality of our life is the books that we read, right, and the people that we meet. So if you rewind all of the years and that create to your success today, beside those two, what else that been there and contribute to your success so that our audience can think and then can learn and reflect?
Yeah, I think it's very clear in my mind because I lived by them and I believed in them. And if I go in a sequence, the first thing would be failure is just a learning moment.
Okay.
Second, two things can change the course of your life: the books that you read and people that you meet, because they give you triggers for future. The third is, it does not matter where you start from. Your financial strata, your societal status doesn't matter. It matters how far can you go. Fourth, in life, future creation is through a structured process. Have a moonshot vision and ironclad rituals. Discipline is often underrated, but in life, discipline is one of the greatest driver of growth. The other principle is life is an outcome of chance encounters and intentional choices. So I had 5 chance encounters. Met those 2 young officers, met the Navy SEAL guy, met the TCS CEO at Heathrow Lounge, met Marshall Goldsmith. All these were chance encounters. But what you do with those is your intentional choice. And that makes you grow in a big way. And my last for this conversation is always have a beginner's mind. Because expert mind can block you in many ways.
What's the
feel
last
that
one?
you're already arrived.
Sorry, I cannot catch the last one.
Expert mind.
Expert mind. Okay.
No, what I said, have a beginner's mind.
A business mind.
Because if you have an expert mind, it can block you in many ways. I often say knowledge is the enemy of knowing. So knowledge is just relevant for now, but what you're going to face in future, you may not have the knowledge. So be in the spirit and quest of knowing, all the time knowing, and that's where beginner's mind can be a great advantage. So these are some of the lessons that have worked for me, Vivian and Hart.
Thanks a lot. So accepting failure is part of life. Read many books, meet many people that can contribute to your life. And it doesn't matter where where you're starting from, but then what matters is how far can you go, right?
Okay.
And then have intentional choice, and then have a business mindset, right?
Beginner's mind and chance encounters and intentional choice. And when you're doing well, you can borrow this phrase from tennis: extend your rally. Don't just settle down. When you're already doing good, keep up the good work that you are doing. And finally, whatever gifts, treasures, talent that I have, I'm not allowed to take it to my grave. So give it away to people. But that's where it is of greatest use.
Wow.
Knowledge is not to be hoarded in your hand. It has to be given away. I often say this, when the knowledge leaves your hand, wisdom comes back.
Absolutely. Your life and your work requires you to do a lot of thinking. And Vivian and I has been in the quest of asking every single person who are experts, who are good at what they do, about how they think, because we want to help the people around us to improve their ability to thinking. So it's gonna go into this golden question that we want to ask you, Himanshu. How do you help yourself to expand the thinking, though?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question, because no school teaches us how to think. We just pick up accidentally. But thinking is a process. It's a 3-way process. For thinking to get sharpened, you need a stimulus, or you need a trigger. Where do triggers come from? Triggers can come from reading, conversation, observing, experimenting, learning. So from any of these sources, triggers can come. When you have a trigger, what do you do with that? So I have a framework called TQI. Trigger of the day, question of the day, idea of the day. So when a trigger comes, I ask the question, what can we do about it? And many times that process of asking question leads me to another idea. So that is one way to sharpen your thinking. Build an ecosystem of triggers, have a healthy flow of stimulus coming your way, and then you question those stimulus to expand your thinking. The other thing is about thinking is study, introspection, and reflection. They all work simultaneously.
What is the middle one?
And the last one is
introversion.
study,
Mm-hmm.
introspection,
Introspection.
contemplation, and reflection. These are the tools of thinking.
Mm.
And let me give you something very interesting. I always say, don't just think it, ink it,
Ink it.
and link it to daily action.
Mm.
Don't just think it, ink it, link it to daily action. I have whole large number of diaries where I write, I journal. So whenever I'm thinking, I'm always writing. And when you write and you reflect, you get a second level of thinking which is called generative thinking.
Mm.
So first thinking is driven by stimulus and trigger. But when you write down and you reflect, it triggers more thoughts. That's called generative thinking.
Mm.
And thinking in a structured always helps. So if you have a structured around it, like cause and effect, means and outcome. So like that, when you have that structure, it really helps very well.
Mm. So we find the way to create a lot more stimulus so that can help us to form the idea, right? Find the trigger and then structure out the process so that we can help us to think and then expand the thinking. That is what I wrote it down, and I would listen to the conversation again to make sure that I capture all of that for myself, for me, and for the audience. And I will come to the last question for today, Himanshu. And so we know about the past already, of what you've been doing, the incredible present of what you are doing, and then we want to also know a little bit about the future, because that is where we're heading. You're heading actually. So, is there anything that exciting that Himanshu is working on that you would want Vivian, me, and our audience to know now, so that we can celebrate with you in advance?
Very good. So I see my next 5 to 10 years is focus on being a purpose guru or a purpose coach. So I have enabled many leaders discover their purpose, and I want to do that in a big way, in a globally scalable manner. Because if I can help more and more people to discover their purpose, they can bring far greater productivity to their world. So the next 10 years are going to be focused on helping people find their purpose, their passion, and a lot of work I would do in spirituality, and build some program like Rediscover Yourself. I'm writing a couple of books, which is one of the books is called Purpose Code. So the idea is to use all that I've acquired in enabling people their next and best through purpose discovery. That's where my major focus is going to be over the next 10 years, God willing, with God's grace.
Wow. What a noble way that you are doing, and we thanks in advance for you doing that, because a lot of us unfortunately living without having a full understanding of why we are here and the purpose of life. And if we can help one person and to find a purpose so that they can live their lives better, they can work better, they can lead the team better, and that is beautiful. And so please try your best to have that influence to as many as you could, and you can create the future of works a lot more meaningful for a lot of people. Okay.
And I'm very grateful for this conversation, because you have given me an opportunity and a medium for my messages to reach your community in your world and have the ability to inspire or influence people. So I'm very happy for all those people who will watch this thing. I would just like to say, in life, 2 days are most important. First is the day you are born, and second is the day you figure out why you are born. So that is my mission.
Wow. Thanks a lot for I'm gonna practice what Kevin Monroe teach Vivian and I past couple of days. It's we are grateful for you, and here's why. is for you to spend in your time to join our show and share your wisdom, your works, and the advices so that we can take to our heart and think and reflect and make actions in our lives. So we thank you very much for that.
Same here. I'm really grateful to you. And I see you two doing a lot of purpose-driven work. This work is not easy. So I think you are inspired by your purpose to bring the right ideas for your community. So I want to wish you all the best and good luck in your pursuit.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Himanshu.
You have a wonderful weekend and enjoy what you do. Let us know when you come to Vietnam. So we will be so happy to take you around town. Okay.
Up till now, it was in the mind. After meeting you, it is now becoming concrete that I will visit. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye for now. Thanks,
Bye bye.
Vivian.
Take care.
Bye.
Same here, Vivian and Ha. Bye bye.
Bye.